All right, we're gonna lead off with the Marcano ban and four others that received the 1 year suspension. So Marcano officially receives the lifetime ban for betting on Pirates games when he was injured, only winning 4% of his bets, which tells me he was betting on the Pirates to win every time because that works out to about the amount of games they won during the time he was injured. I would
So
say.
at least this is. I feel so good about myself. I win more than 4% of my bets. This is
If only he had an
wonderful for me.
interpreter, man.
This is wonderful for me, though. I mean, this makes me feel very, very good about myself.
Yeah. So
The parlay master, Sean, the parlay master.
Jesus, all you need is one, man.
Yep, that's true.
So it didn't affect the outcomes of games because he did it while he was injured, and it was off the field at the time. But I mean, still stupid. But
It's
the
still
other
dumb.
still dumb. The other four that got it, the reason they only got 1 year suspensions is because they were in the minors when they were betting on baseball. Which, I mean, probably splitting hairs there, but Andrew Saalfrank from the Diamondbacks, who has been in the majors with them he's been up and down a few times.
Yep.
Jay Groom from the Padres, Jose Rodriguez from the Phillies, and Michael Kelly from the A's were all in the minors when they were placing bets on baseball. So I think that's why they only got the 1 year suspension. I still think they should be banned. If you're betting on baseball, that's against the rules.
Yeah. It's hard for me, and it's particularly with Marcano not being on the field at all. Like, what's the difference? I recognize that, there is a slight difference in the fact that he's in the clubhouse, in the locker room, and he knows these guys. But these guys that are in the being on the active roster, right? But he's not playing and impacting these games. He's impacting these games the same way these minor league players are impacting the Padres or the A's or the Phillies, or you know what I mean? That's odd for me.
Yeah. Well, my argument was going to be he knows the players, he knows the team, he knows who's hurt, he knows things like that. He's got inside information, but based on winning 4% of his bets, it certainly wasn't him.
Yeah, and I get that too, but I don't know, man. I mean, I guess you can have that kind of line of demarcation. I guess to be like, well, these guys are in the minors, so they don't know that. But I find it hard to believe, man. If you're in the Phillies organization, the A's organization, the Padres organization, and these are guys and the guy in Arizona that have been up and down, you tell me he's not in communication. He's gone to spring training with these guys. You tell me he's not in communication with people that are on the active roster. It's not that much of a leap.
It's not. It's not. And, a lot of those coaches, they know some of those coaches in the major league staff are in the minor leagues and they see them at spring training. They've built relationships with players and staff. There's definitely conversations happening back and forth.
For the record, I'm by no way saying other players and coaches are in cahoots with these guys. I'm just saying it's pretty far-fetched to sit there and think, well, he's in the minors, so he has no way to get inside information. That's just, there's no way that I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think anybody's trying to help him. I mean, when you look at Wall Street, a lot of your insider trading cases are somebody that knows somebody who's just talking to them and getting information from them. They're not in cahoots together. They're just learning things about the company from that person and using it to their advantage. So,
yeah,
you don't have to necessarily be working together.
Right.
I just have no sympathy for it. I mean, it's very public knowledge that you can't do it. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care how long you've been in the game or how short you've been in the game. Everybody knows that betting on baseball as a baseball player is illegal, and the repercussions of it. I have zero sympathy for it.
Yeah, and particularly with the kind of the blow up of sports gambling in this country too, about how how mainstream it's becoming.
Right.
You can't tell me that. We'll use baseball as an example, but all the professional sports, but in this case, baseball. You can't tell me that they don't have these seminars and these kind of warnings that are going out to these players, sitting there telling them, we are cracking down on this. We're cracking down on this.
While DraftKings is plastered all over the Jumbotron.
Well, yeah. I know, but
right.
Sure. Is it hypocritical? Of course it is, but it's still the way that it is. You can't claim ignorance at this point.
Yeah. Oh, right. 1,000% agree. 1,000% agree. But yeah, crazy. But that's our second lifetime ban. So
yeah, there's actually an article today in the USA Today. I was trying to pull it up. Bob Nightingale wrote it up, but there's MLB players are actually pushing back on Major League Baseball's relationships with these gambling platforms. One or two reasons. One, they feel like it's bringing gambling too close to the game. But two, there are players that are getting mail from angry fans that lost bets. And they've got examples of some of the stuff that's been sent to some of these players. And it's pretty bad. I mean, Arizona Diamondbacks closer Paul Sewald gave examples of stuff he's gotten in the mail from people that lost bets because he blew a save. It's pretty ridiculous what people are sending him for them losing a bet. But players are beginning to be a little less comfortable with baseball and gambling becoming much closer because it's influencing the game.
Yeah.
I think that's always been the worry, right? I mean, it's always been the worry when gambling is becoming so mainstream. I mean, it was the talk of, when the NHL was putting a team in Vegas. I mean, that was kind of for years leading up to that. It was just like, how is this going to work? I hear the player. I mean, I get it. If I were a player, I don't know how thrilled I would be about it. Aside from like the hypocritical part about like, gambling's bad, you can't do it. Meanwhile, like every broadcast has like the live odds like on the screen.
The money line streaming.
Yeah. I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, like you just have to know that as a player, like you just can't get yourself involved in it. I don't know.
And that's where the game's changed.
I don't want to make it seem like it's that simple, but it kind of is that simple. Like you just have to stay away from, you can't get involved in it.
Right. It's that entertainment and the game line. Like there's that line where it's entertainment for all of us, but it's still a game and a profession for them. And they have to learn how to keep that separate from providing the entertainment for us, which, is hard. I'm sure it's not easy, but I don't know. It's, the repercussions is my stance on it. Like,
dude,
imagine,
not to like make light of it, but imagine if I start like making bets on the side, like which students are going to fail the next test and which students are going to pass, which ones are going to get A's, which ones are going to get C's. Like that would be crazy. Yeah. Like gambling's legal and all this in a certain sense, sports gambling. Obviously it's different, but you just can't do it. I mean, it's your profession. You can't get involved in it.
Right.
I mean, it really is that simple. It sucks, but
yeah.
And they're cracking down. They're obviously cracking down.
Yeah.
I mean, this has become a big thing for baseball this year, obviously. I mean, we look at how much we're talking about it and look at how many people are starting to get bagged. And I'm sure it's been going on for years. To sit there and think that Marcano and all these minor league guys placed their first bets this year it would be a crazy thing to think.
Yeah.
But
no, I think this illegal bookmaking thing Shohei got caught in has opened a lot of eyes to what was going on. And I think MLB's, naturally having to look a little closer, and more will come out, more players are going to get found, more things will pop up. But I think that's the nature of it. And I put a link in the chat to the Bob Nightingale article where he talks to a number of players, Logan Webb, Paul Sewald, a bunch of guys about their feelings. And generally the players don't like how cozy gambling and baseball have gotten, but understand why. I mean, there's a ton of money in it, and it's only going to help, revenue if people are watching more. So certainly pros and cons to it. But the more you invite gambling in, the more stuff like this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, gambling in sports is not new.
No, goodness gracious, no.
Fantasy football, all that stuff.
Yeah.